The morning airport felt busy but organized. People moved with purpose, rolling small suitcases, checking phones, and looking at gate screens that showed the same destination again and again. Amara walked calmly through the crowd, a neat folder in her hand and a gentle focus in her eyes. She had learned to blend in, a simple blazer, low shoes, a quiet smile. She looked like a professional traveler, which she was. What no one around her knew was that she was also the new CEO of the airline group that owned this flight. She liked to observe service on real flights without attention, because that was how the truth revealed itself. At the gate, she greeted the agent with a warm nod and showed her pass. The agent smiled back and wished her a pleasant journey. The boarding lanes were marked clearly. Families went first, then priority groups, then everyone else. The process was smooth. Amara waited for her turn, not using her title to rush anything. She enjoyed the simple practice of moving with everyone, hearing natural questions, and seeing how the team handled small surprises. When her group was called, she stepped forward. The JetBridge air felt cooler, almost like an early breeze. On board, the front cabin had soft lighting, fresh pillows, and a gentle scent of citrus. A flight attendant with a tidy bun and calm expression welcomed her and checked her ticket. "Welcome aboard," the attendant said, guiding her to the first row. Amara sat in seat 1A, the window seat. She placed her folder in the side compartment, took out a small pen, and tapped a short note, "Observe front cabin flow and greeting language." She liked the view from 1A. The wingtip wasn't blocking anything, she could see the line of ground vehicles, the walking ramp, and the distant tails of other aircraft. It gave her a quiet sense of the operation. She buckled her belt and looked over the safety card, a habit she kept from her earliest days in the industry. The cabin was filling slowly. A business traveler placed a bag overhead and double-checked his laptop. A couple whispered about a connecting meeting. The atmosphere was polite and steady. Somewhere behind, she heard the soft ring of a crew chime. The lead flight attendant, her name tag read Sophia, looked toward the galley. A gate agent stepped in briefly, handed over a small printout, and stepped out again. The captain appeared at the curtain, spoke quietly with Sophia, and looked forward. His voice was low and quick. Amara did not try to listen in, she respected crew coordination. Still, she noticed the small details, a frown, a glance at seat 1A, and then a careful breath by Sophia. Sophia approached with the professional smile that all good crews practice. She bent slightly toward Amara. "Thank you for being with us today," she began, keeping her tone even. "May I ask a small favor? We are managing a priority need at the front, and I'd appreciate your help. Would you be open to moving to another seat in the same cabin?" The words were smooth and kind, but there was a slight hesitation, like someone reading instructions that were not fully clear. Amara listened fully before replying. "I understand," she said softly. "Could you please share the policy behind the request? I'm happy to help if it's for safety or a defined rule. I just want to be sure I follow the correct process." She kept her voice neutral, calm, and friendly. She knew these moments were delicate for crew members, especially when timing mattered. Sophia glanced toward the curtain, then back. "It's a priority hold for the front seat," she said, as if repeating something she had been told, not something she had read. "We're a little short on time." She still wore the professional smile, but her eyes looked concerned. She seemed to want clarity too. The captain stepped into view again, waiting just outside the front row, not entering the aisle but clearly close enough to be part of the moment. "Ma'am," the captain said gently when invited by Sophia's look, "we keep seat 1A clear for operational reasons today. It is standard." He paused. "If we could have your cooperation, we can close the door on time." His tone was firm but not unkind. Amara looked up at him, steady and thoughtful. She had read all the recent policy updates. She remembered that safety needs always came first, and safety could require unique seating at times. But she also remembered approving a change that asked crews to use more precise terms and only make requests like this when safety actually required it. "Is there a written notation for the seat today?" she asked. "For example, a safety hold or a crew jump seat reason? If so, I am happy to move." She kept her words simple, her expression open. She didn't want to put anyone on the spot. She just wanted to protect the integrity of the policy and the dignity of the customer experience. If she, as a customer, found it confusing, she knew many others would too. The captain gave a small nod, as if he understood the spirit of the question, but the answer didn't come easily. "It's standard," he repeated. He looked toward the galley, perhaps hoping a printout would materialize. No printout came. A few passengers nearby watched quietly. No one said anything, but the silence carried questions. Amara could feel the time pressure too. She knew delays could cascade and affect many people. She also knew that unspecific requests could create bigger problems later. She gave a gentle smile. "I don't want to cause a delay for anyone," she said. "If it helps you today, I will move." She unbuckled, rose, and reached for her small bag. "Please let me know which seat is available." The captain nodded with relief, and Sophia instantly thanked her, pointing to 3C, an aisle seat with the same service level. Sophia's gratitude looked honest. She offered to place Amara's bag in the overhead and brought a bottle of water without being asked. In that tiny act, Amara saw a team member trying to take care of a person, not just a process. Seated in 3C, Amara clipped her belt and took another quiet note in her folder. She wrote down the time, the exact phrases used, and the lack of a written notation. She wrote tone respectful, request unclear. She underlined unclear once. She did not feel angry. She felt focused. She believed in teaching through structure, not shame. The right fix would not be a harsh memo, it would be clarity that made sense under pressure. A gentleman in 2D leaned across the aisle a little and whispered, "That seemed unusual." He sounded more curious than critical. Amara gave a small nod and reassured him that everything was fine. "We'll get to our destination on time," she said. He smiled and returned to his reading. People settled. The overhead bins clicked shut. The door closed with a solid thunk that meant commitment. The plane was now a small world of its own. The safety video began. Amara watched every second, both to be a responsible passenger and to observe the delivery. The crew gestures were crisp and well-timed. The lighting dimmed gently, and the screens showed the familiar instructions. She made a note, "Safety briefing strong today. Good pacing." The aircraft pushed back, and the soft hum of the engines rose like a confident breath. While taxiing, Amara opened the airline app on her phone. The front page had a friendly greeting, and the trip details were clear. She navigated to policy summaries she kept bookmarked. She looked again at the section about seat holds. The language was specific now, after last quarter's update: safety hold, crew jump seat, or courtesy hold. She read each definition. None matched the vague request she had just experienced. She blinked slowly and took a breath. The cabin announcement asked everyone to switch to airplane mode, so she did, and she put the phone away. As the plane lifted into the air, the cabin shifted from ground routine to sky routine. The seat belt sign stayed on, but the tension of boarding had dissolved. A calm spread through the rows. Amara looked out the window across the aisle and saw the city shrink into a patchwork of roads and roofs. She felt that familiar mix of awe and responsibility. This was not just a seat and a wing. It was a promise carried by thousands of people every day. When the seatbelt sign turned off, Sophia began first service with her team. She stopped briefly by 3C and asked, "Are you comfortable here?" Amara smiled. Yes, thank you. Sophia's eyes looked grateful. I appreciate your flexibility, she said quietly. We were trying to manage a request quickly. Amara answered kindly, I understand time stress. If there is a written reason, it helps everyone. She kept it simple, not hinting at who she was, only suggesting a better way. Coffee came on a tray, and the aroma was warm and friendly. Amara accepted tea instead, no sugar, a slice of lemon. She opened her folder again. Inside were charts showing last month's drop in complaints after the team improved boarding announcements. There was also a small section on front cabin confusion, which still had not fully improved. She touched that section with her pen, adding one short line, real-life example today. Clarify language. Protect dignity. A passenger a row ahead asked a question about Wi-Fi, and Sophia answered clearly, giving both the free messaging option and the full access price. It was a good answer. Amara wrote, crew knowledge strong. She enjoyed catching people doing good work. Praise written into training was as important as any fix. She believed people repeated what got recognized, and the right patterns could spread across the whole company. She set the folder aside and simply listened to the soft sounds that meant a healthy flight, drawers opening and closing in the galley, light footsteps, friendly voices, seat belts clicking, a page turning in a magazine. She checked the time and calculated the schedule at the destination. If they stayed on track, the turnaround would be tight but manageable. Her chief of staff could pull the flight logs later. She didn't need to act on board, she only needed to observe. She thought about the captain. He had not been impolite. He had simply used a word standard that covered too many different things. In a big system, vague words create stress. Clear words save everyone time and protect respect. She wanted the captain to feel supported by the right script as much as the flight attendant did. She wanted passengers to feel informed without feeling pushed. This was not about winning or losing a seat. It was about making sure every person kept their dignity while doing the right thing. The trolley moved down the aisle with a gentle rhythm. The cabin's light shifted as clouds covered and then revealed the sun. She sipped her tea and thought of the small sign she kept in her office, safety and respect are not in competition. That belief guided her. When safety truly required priority seating, she wanted the app to show it and the crew to say it with confidence. When it did not, she wanted the customer to feel seen, not moved like luggage. She took out her phone again and wrote a simple note in airplane mode for later sending, flag policy gap, VIP seat change requires precise reason code and visible label. Training script, safety vs courtesy. Add example. Then she typed a second note to herself that felt just as important, thank Sophia for tone under pressure. Invite captain to feedback session, keep it supportive. She saved both notes and put the phone away. As the flight continued smoothly, Amara leaned back for a moment and closed her eyes, not to sleep, but to settle her thoughts. She had seen enough to know what to do next, and yet she was careful not to rush judgment. She reminded herself that crews work under time limits and must juggle many needs. Good systems make good choices easier. That was her job, to build the systems that let kindness and clarity win in the moment, not just in the manual. The captain made a friendly announcement about the weather at arrival and the expected landing time. His voice was calm, steady, and professional. Amara listened and smiled to herself. She believed he would welcome clearer tools as much as anyone else. No one liked being uncertain in front of passengers. With a better app label and a brief refresher, a future captain could say, Seat 1A is on safety hold today, or this is a courtesy hold, we can discuss options. The difference between those two lines could change the entire mood of a flight. Amara finished her tea and looked out the window again. The sky was a wide, clean blue with a gentle line of cloud on the horizon. Down below, roads connected towns, and towns connected people. She felt the weight and the joy of that connection. She pressed her pen to the paper and wrote one short sentence that would guide everything after landing: fix the confusion, keep the kindness. Then she closed the folder and rested her hands, prepared to let the journey do what journeys do, carry people forward, together, with care. The plane lifted smoothly and turned into the climb. Amara felt the gentle push into her seat, then the steady hum that meant the aircraft had found its rhythm. She kept her folder closed now. She preferred to watch and listen. At this stage of flight, the truth showed up in small details: voices, timing, and how people handled tiny surprises. Sophia moved down the aisle, checking belts and smiles. Her calm manner made the cabin feel safe. She paused at row 2 because a child asked a question about the window. Sophia knelt so she was at the child's eye level and explained how the wing worked. The parent smiled with relief. Amara wrote a quiet note in her mind: kindness slows time in a good way. The seat belt sign turned off. A message sounded from the speaker: service would begin shortly. A soft light came on in the galley. A cart rolled, brakes clicked, and trays slid into place. The rhythm of work wrapped around the cabin like a steady song. Amara opened the airline app again and checked the section she had bookmarked. She read the definition slowly, as if tasting each word: safety hold, crew jump seat, courtesy hold. Clear. Useful. Strong. None of these matched the vague request she had experienced at boarding. She pressed her lips together for a second and then relaxed them. She reminded herself, this is why she flew without an entourage, so she could notice gaps as a simple customer, not a title. She looked left and right. Passengers settled in. The business traveler in 2D was building a spreadsheet with quick steps, hands moving like he had done it 1,000 times. The couple in 1C and 1D had stopped whispering and now smiled at a joke only they could hear. A college-age passenger in 4A opened a novel and balanced it on the tray. The plane was a tiny moving city, its citizens all doing their own small tasks. The beverage service reached her row. Sophia's colleague offered choices with a warm voice. Amara asked for water and later added tea. She noticed how the colleague held the cup at a consistent height, so the liquid did not splash. It was a detail most people missed. It was also how the team avoided small spills that could slow everyone down. She wrote a quick note in her head: great cup control. The Wi-Fi sign pinged. The screen said the network was available. Amara put her phone into Wi-Fi mode and opened her secure work app. She did not write a long message. She didn't need to. She typed to her chief of staff: please flag possible policy gap on VIP seating and captain authority. Need seat logs and crew notes for SR217 today. Focus, reason codes and app labels. Keep tone supportive. She hit send, then turned the phone face down. The message was plain, not emotional. She always tried to let facts do the heavy lifting. A murmur threaded through the cabin. The business traveler in 2D looked up from his laptop and said, just to himself, huh. He wasn't rude or loud. He had simply noticed something. A few seats back, someone took a photo of the front cabin, just the rows, no faces, and posted a short line to a social app: VIP seat swap this morning. Anyone know why airlines do this? The comment was not angry, only curious. Still, the word VIP had a way of pulling attention. Amara saw the post on her phone a moment later because the app suggested it to people on the plane. She did not react. She didn't need to. She had seen this pattern: a small incident turned into a big question because words were fuzzy. Service continued. A quiet bump of air made cups tremble for a second, but the crew steadied them with practiced hands. A minute later, a meal request at row 1 caused a tiny pause. The guest in 1C had pre-ordered a special meal. The galley label showed the code, but the lid was mismarked by one letter. The colleague checked the list twice, then 3 times, then looked at Sophia. The question was small but urgent: was the meal the correct type? Sophia did not rush. Let's verify, she said in a soft voice. We will bring you something suitable right away. She stepped back, checked the galley manifest, and returned with a clear answer and a fresh tray. The guest nodded, satisfied. Problem solved. But the stutter in the process told a story. A tiny label can interrupt a whole service. Amara wrote another airplane mode note to herself: clarity in labels reduces stress. Same lesson in two places, seat and meal. She drew a small arrow from the word seat to the word meal. In companies, separate problems often shared the same root: fuzzy words, old tags, different versions of a rule in different places. She could feel the pattern sitting there, asking to be solved. The captain made a friendly announcement about the route and expected landing time. His voice was steady and kind. He thanked everyone for choosing the airline. He did not sound defensive or distant. He sounded like a person doing his best to move a full cabin safely and on time. Amara listened, then let her gaze settle on the curtain near the galley. She thought of the moment at boarding. She replayed it exactly as it happened, not mixing in what she wished had happened. She repeated the phrases in her mind: priority, need, standard, short on time, and then she asked herself the question she always asked: what tool would make the better sentence easier to say? She wrote 3 lines in her folder: separate safety needs from status requests. Give crew a script that protects dignity. Make app labels visible to crew and customers when needed. She underlined visible. If a seat was locked for a safety reason, that reason should show up in the app and on the crew device with the same name. If a seat was reserved for a courtesy reason, that word should appear too, and the script should invite a respectful conversation, not a demand. The colleague returned with a small basket of snacks. From behind Amara, a voice asked if the Wi-Fi could handle a video call. The colleague explained that video might not be stable but voice or messages would be fine. The passenger accepted the answer. Next, a person in 2A asked if the arrival gate would be close to baggage claim. The colleague checked the tablet and said, our gate may change, but I'll announce the plan 40 minutes before landing. Her voice carried calm and certainty. Amara loved that answer. It was honest, simple, and promised a follow-up. She wrote, good, promise a time for updates. Her phone buzzed with a quiet reply from the Chief of Staff: received. We will preserve gate camera, digital seat map, and crew tablet logs. Will prepare neutral timeline. Want station manager looped. Amara typed back, yes. Keep it routine. No alarms. Invite captain and lead for debrief, supportive tone. She paused, then added, ask app vendor to check tag mapping, priority versus safety/courtesy. She sent the message and turned her phone face down again. Sophia returned to Amara's row. Everything comfortable? She asked, sincere and steady. Amara smiled. Very comfortable. Thank you. She looked toward the front, then back. You handled the special meal question well. Sophia's shoulders relaxed a little. We try to verify and keep it smooth, she said. Sometimes labels don't match the list. It's rare, but it slows us when it happens. Amara nodded. Verification is good service, she said. The way you explained it was clear. Sophia gave a small, grateful nod and moved on to help another guest. A few rows back, a soft disagreement started about a bag that didn't fit under a seat. It wasn't loud or tense, just a puzzle. The colleague came over, measured with her eyes, and offered to place the bag a few rows away where there was space. She promised to bring it forward before landing. The passenger agreed. The colleague thanked them. The moment could have become a complaint. Instead, it became a small, human agreement. Amara made a quiet note to herself: solve tiny frictions kindly, they never grow big. Time passed in an easy flow. Outside, clouds stacked in soft layers, and the wing held a line that felt confident. Inside, The cabin was a portrait of small routines, a person stretching their fingers, another tapping messages, someone tilting a cup to sip the last of their tea. Amara took out the monthly report she had marked earlier. The numbers showed what she already knew: overall complaints were down after the team fixed pre-boarding announcements. But a smaller, stubborn group of comments still mentioned front cabin confusion, seat changes, unclear reasons, mixed messages. The report did not name the captain, the crew, or any passenger. It simply showed a shape. When words were fuzzy, feelings got hurt. She leaned back and asked herself the design question: what would make the right behavior the easy behavior? She wrote a small checklist. Crew tablet shows the same labels as the app. A reason code must be selected for any seat change: safety, crew, courtesy. If courtesy, script must offer choices, not commands. All reason codes show in the post-flight timeline for learning. Short training module: authority with clarity, courtesy with respect. She drew a box around the list. This was not about catching anyone. It was about building a track the train could follow without stress. In her experience, people did fine work when the track was clear. The child from row 2 walked with a parent up the aisle to stretch. The child looked at the wing and whispered, "It's so big." The parent smiled and guided them back gently. The scene touched Amara in a simple way. Aviation had brought her into the world of careful systems, but it had also brought her to moments like this: a small face lit by wonder at a machine doing a quiet miracle. Her phone buzzed again. Another short message from the Chief of Staff: station manager acknowledges. We'll preserve everything and arrange a debrief room at arrival. We'll keep tone normal. Amara responded, "Perfect. Please prepare a short thank you card for the lead attendant. I will sign it." She paused and then added, "Invite the captain to record a 2-minute reflection later this week if he's willing. What clarity would help him most?" She wanted the learning to come from the people who lived the work every day. That was how change stuck. The business traveler in 2D closed his laptop and exhaled like he had reached a good stopping point. He glanced at Amara. "Thanks again for earlier," he said quietly, referring to her calm move to 3C. "You kept it smooth." Amara smiled. "We all want to arrive on time," she said. "I'm sure the team will make the right updates so everything is clear next time." He nodded. "Clarity is everything," he agreed, then chuckled softly. "In spreadsheets too." A soft chime sounded for the cabin. The seat belt sign stayed off, but the light somehow said, "We're settling." Sophia announced that they would begin a light refresh, then collect service items. She spoke like a good guide: short sentences, calm pauses, no extra pressure. The cart returned. Trash disappeared into tidy bags. The aisle became neat again. The cabin felt ready for the next phase. Amara glanced at the clock on her phone. She measured the time from pushback to service, from service to cleanup, and then to the beginning of descent. Everything was on schedule. Even that small pause at row 1 had not disturbed the flow. She let herself smile in gratitude for the crew's skill. This was the hidden art of aviation: keeping 100 little things small so the big thing moving everyone safely stayed big. She added one last note before putting her folder away: respect first, even under time pressure. Tools make respect easier. She drew a simple line under the sentence and closed the folder with care. Then she looked out past the curtain, past the neat cabin and the quiet work, to the soft light on the wing. She took a slow breath. She had what she needed to act after landing: facts, observations, and a plan that helped people do their best work. She didn't feel upset. She felt responsible. There is a difference. Upset is loud and brief. Responsibility is quiet and steady. She thought about the letter she might write to the company next week, about how clarity is a form of care, and how dignity is not a luxury in travel, it is a standard. She would keep the words simple. She would keep the tone kind. She would name the actions clearly so every crew member and every customer could feel the same thing she felt now as the plane moved through clean air, calm, safe, and respected. Clouds thinned, and the ground began to draw its neat grid of roads under the wing. The cabin lights shifted slightly, the kind of small change that said, "We are going down now." People closed laptops and tucked books into seat pockets. Sophia's voice came over the speaker with a calm reminder to fasten seat belts. Amara placed her folder away, clicked her belt, and looked at the quiet order in the rows. The flight had found its rhythm again. The captain spoke with the steady tone of a practiced professional. He thanked everyone, gave the weather, and shared the expected arrival time. His words were clear, simple, and kind. Amara listened carefully. She could hear care in his voice. That mattered to her. She believed people almost always tried to do the right thing with the tools they had. Her job was to make sure the tools fit the job, especially when time was short and the pressure was real. The plane touched down with a soft bounce and a smooth roll. A few passengers clapped once, not a loud cheer, just a small, grateful sound. Amara smiled. The engines changed pitch, the brakes sang their short song, and soon the aircraft turned off the runway. The cabin gave that shared long breath people do after a safe landing. Phones lit up. Belts stayed on. Everyone waited for the final stop. At the gate, the seat belt sign turned off with a chime, and people stood in a careful dance. Someone in the back stretched. A child in row 2 asked if they had arrived in the clouds or on the ground, and their parent laughed gently. The front curtain parted. The captain stepped out to greet passengers by the door, as crews often do. He had the relaxed face of a person who had completed a task well. Amara appreciated that. She stayed seated until the aisle opened. Then she rose, took her small bag, and waited her turn. When she reached the door, she looked at the captain and the lead attendant and said, with a warm, even tone, "Thank you for the safe flight." The captain nodded. "Thank you for flying with us," he replied. Sophia smiled with grateful eyes. It was a simple exchange. It was also a note Amara wanted to hold onto: respect can be quiet and still speak loudly. The JetBridge Air felt cooler. At the top, a station manager waited with a tablet and a quick step. She looked ready to solve a small gate timing issue. Her name tag read Lydia. She greeted the captain first, then Sophia, then turned toward Amara and offered the same professional smile. Amara returned the smile and said in a low voice meant for the team, not the crowd, "Lydia, I'm Amara Lewis." She paused and added, gently, "I'm the CEO." There are moments when time seems to slow without stopping. This was one of them. Lydia's eyes shifted to focus more carefully. She gave a polite nod that also meant surprise. The captain's face showed the same quiet surprise. Sophia's shoulders, so calm all flight, loosened just a little, like someone had lifted a weight. No one spoke loudly. No one made a scene. They simply adjusted to new information. Amara kept her tone steady and kind. "I'd like to request a same-day audit of this flight service and policy steps," she said. "Please preserve gate camera footage, the digital seat map history, and the crew tablet logs for flight SR217. We will also need the app vendor's tag mapping for any priority labels used today." Lydia nodded with quick understanding and tapped notes on her tablet. "I'll secure all records and notify the audit team," she said. "We can set a debrief room within the hour." The captain drew a careful breath. "Ma'am," he began, respectful and measured, "may I ask, was there an issue?" His question was not defensive. It was responsible. Amara met his eyes with calm honesty. "There was confusion at boarding about seat 1A, she said. "I am not here to blame. I am here to learn what happened and to fix the system so the right thing is easy next time." Sophia added quietly, "We tried to follow a priority instruction, but the wording didn't match the labels we have now." She looked down for a moment, then back up. I appreciated the guest's kindness, she said, carefully avoiding any hint that she knew Amara's role. Amara nodded. You kept a respectful tone under time pressure, she said. Thank you. They moved to a small meeting room just off the gate. It had a round table, 4 chairs, and a view of the ramp where ground crews worked with bright focus. Lydia stepped in, set her tablet down, and looked to Amara for guidance. Amara spoke first, not with a lecture, but with a simple frame. This is a learning conversation, she said. We will review what each person saw and did. We will compare it with current policy and tool labels. Then we will design a fix that helps everyone. She invited the captain to begin. He thanked her and explained in plain words. In my earlier years, he said, we kept Seat 1A open at times for operational priority brief visits from a jump seater, a quick crew need, or other special handling. It did not happen often, but it was part of how we stayed flexible. I believed it remained standard. When I told the team to keep it open, I thought I was following a long-standing practice. He paused. I did not check for a safety or crew label on the device. I simply used the word priority. Amara listened without interrupting. The clarity helped. She turned to Sophia. What did you see? Sophia spoke slowly, choosing simple words. I received the captain's instruction to hold 1A. On my tablet, I did not see a safety hold or crew jump seat tag. I saw only the usual seat list and the guest name in 1A. She swallowed and went on. We had minutes to close the door. I asked the guest to move. I tried to be kind and keep it smooth. I could not explain the reason clearly because I did not have a clear label. Lydia added the station view. At the gate, she said, we were focused on an on-time push. No one flagged a safety need. The system did not show a special hold. From my side, the seat looked assigned and normal. If someone had said safety hold, we would have supported it immediately. She looked up from her tablet. The word priority does not exist as a current reason code in my tool. Amara let a brief silence settle so the facts could sit together. Then she nodded. Thank you, she said. This is helpful. She placed her hands on the table, open. Here is what I hear, we have a policy update that narrowed the old practice. Our digital labels reflect the new policy, but the everyday habits did not fully change. We have a word priority that once meant many things. Today, it means nothing in our system. That gap put you in a hard spot under time pressure. The captain nodded. That is correct, he said. I should have checked for a specific label. I did not. His voice held both responsibility and relief. He had a name for the gap now. Sophia added, if the tablet showed safety hold, I would have used that language and explained it clearly. If it showed courtesy hold, I would have offered options. Lydia said, and I could have backed you from the gate with the same words. Amara smiled gently. Good, she said. Then we have our path. She turned to Lydia. Please confirm the audit team will build a neutral timeline, minute by minute from 30 minutes before boarding to 10 minutes after departure. Lydia nodded. Yes, I'll coordinate, she said. We will also secure the social media note that was posted during the flight, only as context. Amara added, only if it is public. We do not pursue private posts. Our work is not about online noise, it is about real steps and real tools. She outlined actions in clear, simple points. First, we update digital labels everywhere: crew tablets, gate screens, and the app, so the same 3 reasons appear: safety hold, crew jump seat, or courtesy hold. Second, any seat change in the front cabin must be recorded with one of these reason codes. No free text. No priority label. Third, if the reason is courtesy hold, the script must invite, not demand. It should offer choices, remain in seat, move with a clear benefit, or speak with a manager. The tone is respect first. Fourth, we train both pilots and cabin crew on where captain authority is absolute safety and where we seek cooperation courtesy. We use exact examples. Fifth, we review reason code logs weekly for 30 days to make sure the pattern is healthy. We do not seek blame. We seek clarity. She paused. And sixth, we say thank you to the people who kept the flight safe and respectful even when the words were fuzzy. The captain listened with steady eyes. I accept coaching, he said. I would also like to help with the training example. I know how it feels to make a fast call and then learn the wording was wrong. Amara nodded. Your voice will help others, she said. Thank you for offering. Sophia looked relieved. The script will help me a lot, she said. When I have exact words, I can be calm and clear. Amara wrote brief deadlines on Lydia's tablet, with permission. Labels updated in the app and crew tablet within 10 days, she said. Short training module live within 30 days, 10 minutes long, with real phrases and small quizzes. Weekly review of logs begins next Monday. First summary in 2 weeks. Lydia typed quickly. I will align with the app vendor and the training team today, she said. We will keep the tone supportive. Amara pulled a small thank you card from her bag. It was simple and white, with the company's logo in a quiet corner. She wrote 2 lines in neat handwriting, Sophia, thank you for your calm tone and clear service today. You kept dignity first. She slid it across the table. Sophia's eyes softened. This means a lot, she said. I will keep this in my wallet. The captain glanced at the window where ground crews guided another aircraft. I also learned something today, he said. Clear labels are not small. They protect safety and respect at the same time. Before they stood up, Amara added one more request. Lydia, please invite a crew representative to preview the training script, she said. I want the words to feel natural in real life, not just correct on paper. Lydia agreed. We will run it by 2 senior flight attendants and 1 captain, she said. We'll take notes and adjust. They left the meeting room with quiet steps and a shared sense of purpose. Out on the concourse, the ordinary life of travel went on, paper cups, rolling bags, gate calls, small reunions at the security exit. No one knew a policy had just been clarified above a round table next to a window. That was fine with Amara. Change did not need a spotlight. It needed follow-through. She walked a few paces with the captain and Sophia toward the crew door. Thank you both, she said. Please rest, and please share any words you wish we had given you sooner. We will put them into the script. Sophia nodded, thoughtful. I would like a sentence that begins with respect, she said slowly. Something like, your seat is yours. If you are open to an option, here is why we are asking and what we can offer. That would help me. Amara smiled. That is a good sentence, she said. Let's use that. They parted with small waves and genuine appreciation. Amara stood for a moment by the window and watched a ramp worker guide a baggage train with careful hands. She took out her phone and typed a short note to her chief of staff, debrief complete. Root cause identified, label mismatch and habit from older memo. Proceed with the 6 actions. Thank Sophia. Invite captain to record a reflection. Keep our tone, learning, respect, clarity. She slipped the phone back into her bag and let the scene breathe around her. A family hugged near the gate. A business traveler checked a watch and walked with purpose. The loudspeaker announced a boarding group with simple words. It all looked ordinary. It was also the result of many people, many tools, and many small decisions made with care. Amara turned toward the exit with a calm heart. She did not feel the rush of victory or the sting of anger. She felt something better, a clean path. A seat had been given up without a clear reason. A flight had been safe and kind despite fuzzy words. Now the words would be exact. The next time someone on any flight faced a similar moment, they would have the sentence, the label, and the shared understanding that safety and respect travel best together. The audit team met that same afternoon in a bright room with big windows that looked onto the busy ramp. Clipboards, tablets, and laptops opened. People spoke in calm voices. Lydia coordinated the flow. A data analyst named Noor pulled up the digital seat map history. A training lead named Priya watched with a notebook in hand. The app vendor's product manager, Lynn, joined by video and listened closely. Everything felt steady and respectful, like good work was about to begin. Noor shared the timeline on a screen. She pointed to the minute when boarding started and the moment when the captain asked for seat 1A to be held. The system showed the guest in 1A with no special notation. There was no safety hold. There was no crew jump seat. The word priority did not appear anywhere in the logs. It existed only in people's memories, not in the digital facts. Noor spoke simply. "We have no label for the action that was taken," she said. "The system cannot learn from something it cannot name." Next, a policy specialist named Daniel placed two documents side by side, the updated seating policy from last quarter and an older memo from years ago. The older memo had once allowed operational priority holds at the captain's discretion. It was broad and open to interpretation. The newer policy had narrowed that practice, replacing it with exact codes and clear conditions. "The new policy is correct and current," Daniel said, tapping the newer paper. "But pockets of the old habit remain. We did not reinforce the change with enough clarity in tools and training." Lynn, the app vendor, explained a small but important detail. The crew tablet had been updated with the new terms, but a leftover priority string still existed in one legacy tooltip that rarely appeared. Most crews never saw it. Some crews had their own memory of the old word from years of practice. "We will remove the old string fully," Lynn said. "We will make the new labels bold and obvious in all places. We will also add a short description next to each label." Priya, the training lead, wrote down phrases word for word. She believed training should use the exact sentences people would need during time pressure. "We will build a mini module," she said, "with the 3 reason codes and a simple decision tree. We will include a script that starts with respect." She looked at Amara. "We will also show examples, when the captain must act for safety, and how the crew explains that with clarity. And when it is courtesy, how to invite a choice and thank the guest." Amara listened and asked only short questions to keep the work focused. "How fast can we update the labels in the crew tablet and the customer app?" she asked. "Linear, within 10 days, Lynn replied. "We will ship a mid-cycle patch and roll it out with a one-screen update note that every device must tap through." Amara nodded. "Good. The note should say why the change matters, safety words and courtesy words are different. People will respect that." They reviewed the gate camera at low speed with a privacy screen that blurred faces. The video showed the normal flow of boarding and the moment Sophia approached 1A. No anger. No raised voices. The timeline told a clean story, a calm request, a calm agreement, and a calm move followed by a gap in reason code. It verified what everyone had said in the debrief. It also revealed one more small detail: a gate message had printed with a legacy header that still used the term priority seat review, a leftover phrase from old days. The header had no effect on the tablet, but words carry weight. Daniel circled it. "Let's retire this header," he said. It gave the wrong echo. By early evening, Noor sent a summary with 5 lines at the top: "No safety code, no crew code, no courtesy code, old memo habits, outdated header. Facts, simple and clear." Underneath, she listed actions with owners and dates. Lydia double-checked each date with the team. Nothing felt rushed. Everything felt exact. The next morning, the work began with small, precise steps. The app team changed the labels to show 3 options with short descriptions: safety hold for safety reasons only, example balance, equipment, medical. Not a courtesy. Crew jump seat reserved for working crew placement as required. Courtesy hold a respectful request with options and benefits explained. On the crew tablet, these labels appeared in the same order with the same words. A line of text below read, if courtesy hold is selected, use the respect and option script. If safety or crew is selected, explain clearly and thank the guest. Priya and the training team wrote the script. They kept it short and human. It began with the sentence Sophia suggested, your seat is yours. If you are open to an option, here is why we are asking and what we can offer. Then it offered 2 examples, if safety hold, for safety reasons, we need to keep the seat open today. Thank you for helping us keep everyone safe. We will make you comfortable in a nearby seat and support any needs you have. If courtesy hold, we are asking as a courtesy, not a rule. We can move you to a similar or better seat, add a small thank you credit, and ensure your comfort. You are free to stay where you are. The module also showed when to escalate to a manager and how to log the reason code. It took 10 minutes to complete, with 2 one-minute videos, one from Sophia about tone under pressure, and one from the captain about the value of exact words. He spoke quietly and honestly in his clip. I used a word that covered too many meanings, he said. I learned that clarity protects safety and respect at the same time. Use the labels. They help you say the right thing fast. Amara requested a quick pilot and crew preview. 2 senior flight attendants and 1 captain, not from the same flight, reviewed the module and the script. They liked the start line your seat is yours because it showed respect first. They suggested an extra sentence to help when a guest looked worried, we will keep you informed at each step. Priya added it. They also suggested a small checklist for the captain, before requesting a seat change, check device for safety or crew code, if none, decide if courtesy is truly needed, if not, proceed as normal. The checklist fit on a single screen and printed as a small card for lanyards. By day 3, the station managers received a clear note, the gate printer would no longer use the old header. The word priority was retired. The note included a short reason, we are making language simple and exact. This protects service quality and dignity. Lydia gathered her team and read the note out loud. People nodded. Simple and exact, someone repeated, and the phrase stuck. On day 5, the first flight used the updated labels and the script. It was a morning route with a usual business mix. Nothing unusual happened, which was perfect. The lead attendant still opened with a warm welcome. The captain still gave a calm update. On landing, the log showed no seat changes. That was fine. The important part was that if a moment did come, the words would be ready. On day 7, a test scenario appeared. A guest in the front cabin asked to sit closer to a window for a photo during takeoff, but that seat was held for a crew jump seat on the return leg. The lead attendant checked the device, saw crew jump seat, and explained, this seat is reserved for a working crew position. Your seat is yours, and if you are open to an option, we can offer a similar seat after takeoff when it is safe. We'll also bring a snack to thank you for being flexible. The guest smiled and agreed. The reason code matched the explanation. The log captured the moment in 2 taps. The entire exchange took less than a minute, and everyone felt respected. In the second week, Priya ran short practice sessions called Tiny Labs. Each lab gathered 6 people, 2 pilots, 2 flight attendants, 1 station agent, and 1 manager. They acted out quick scenes, a safety hold, a crew jump seat, a courtesy hold that was not necessary and thus not used, and a courtesy hold that the guest accepted. Each scene ended with a reflection, what words worked? What felt natural? What would you change? People offered small edits that made the lines sound like real speech rather than perfect text. Priya updated the script after each lab, keeping the best phrasing and removing anything that felt stiff. Amara visited one lab quietly and listened from the back of the room. She watched a young flight attendant practice the sentence, "Your seat is yours," 3 times until it felt warm and confident. She watched a captain tap the device to log safety hold and then say out loud, "We use this only when it is truly safety." The room nodded. It mattered that the labels set a high bar for their use. Respect was not a shortcut, it was the track. Meanwhile, Noor began the weekly review of logs. She created a chart that simply counted how often each code appeared and whether the script text had been used. In week 1, a few entries simply read "moved seat," which was not acceptable anymore. Noor flagged these and sent a gentle note to the supervisors, "Please remind teams to select a reason code. Free text does not help us learn." By week 2, almost all entries used the correct codes. Courtesy hold remained rare, which was good, it should be rare. Safety and crew appeared only when appropriate. The pattern looked healthy. Customer comments began to reflect the change. A note arrived from a guest who had been asked to move as a courtesy so a family could sit together. The guest wrote, "I appreciated how the attendant started by saying, 'Your seat is yours,' and then explained the options clearly. I chose to move and felt respected." Another comment said, "I liked that the app showed a short message, 'This seat is held for safety today.' It made sense, and no one argued." These comments were small, but they pointed to a bigger feeling, trust was growing. The captain from the original flight recorded a second short video for the training library. He stood by a simulator and spoke in the same steady tone as before. "Command is not only about right decisions," he said. "It is also about the right words. In our cockpit, words are checklists that keep us safe. In the cabin, words are bridges that keep everyone calm. Use the labels. Walk the script. It will feel natural very soon." Sophia sent a note to Priya and Lydia. She shared that the script helped her handle a delicate moment when a frequent flyer asked a sharp question. She wrote, "Starting with respect changed the mood right away. Then the reason code made my explanation clear. We finished in under a minute, and the guest thanked me." Priya replied with a smile in her words, "Thank you for helping us make this real." Amara asked for a simple, honest update at the end of the month. The report showed fewer front cabin complaints about seat changes and fewer delays at the door due to unclear requests. The numbers were not a trophy, they were a signal that the track was taking trains in the right direction. She read each line carefully, then wrote a short note to the whole company, "Clarity is care. Thank you for making our language match our values. When safety needs a seat, we say so. When we ask for courtesy, we invite and we thank. This is how we protect dignity and time together." She also wrote 2 personal notes. One to the captain, "Thank you for your steady professionalism and your willingness to help us learn. Your voice in training is powerful." And one to Sophia, "Thank you for your calm and your example. Your words gave shape to a better script." On her next quiet flight, Amara sat in a window seat again. The cabin felt like a well-tuned instrument. The crew moved with gentle confidence. A child asked a question, and someone answered at eye level. A small bag found a better home 2 rows away, and the owner nodded with trust. No one knew the story behind the labels on the crew tablet and the app. They didn't need to. They could feel the result, exact words, kind tone, and a system that made the right thing easy in the moment when it mattered. She took out her pen and wrote a last line in her notebook before the lights dimmed for takeoff, "We fixed the confusion and kept the kindness." Then she set the pen down, breathed in the quiet, and smiled at the soft, careful work that had brought the plane and everyone on it to this better place. A soft morning light filled the terminal like a gentle promise. People rolled small bags, checked their tickets, and moved with a calm rhythm toward their gates. Amara walked among them with an easy pace and a clear mind. A month had passed since the day she gave up her seat without a clear reason. In that month, small changes had quietly reshaped a large system. Today, she wanted to feel how those changes lived in the real world. She carried the same simple folder, though it now held only a few pages. Most of the work had moved from ideas to practice. The company had new labels in the crew tablets and in the app. The training module was live. The tiny labs continued each week. Log reviews were done every Monday morning. Nothing dramatic. Just steady steps. At the gate, the screens looked clean and direct. No more old headers about priority. Instead, a short, friendly note scrolled between flight updates: if a seat is held for safety, we'll tell you clearly. If we ask a courtesy favor, we'll offer options. The words were plain and warm. Amara felt a quiet pride. She did not need her name on anything. She needed the words to guide people when time was tight. She greeted the agent with a nod and scanned her pass. The agent smiled back and said, "Have a great flight." The boarding order was smooth. Families with small children went first. Then a group with connections. Then the first rows. Amara waited, as always, for her turn. She enjoyed this moment of simple observation, the way the agent answered a fast question, the way a parent calmed a child with a small story, the way patients moved through the line like a soft breeze. Inside the aircraft, the air felt cool and fresh. The front cabin had that quiet glow that felt both new and familiar. A flight attendant with bright, focused eyes, her name tag read Aisha, welcomed Amara with a genuine smile. "Good morning," she said. "Seat 1A is right this way." Amara placed her folder in the side compartment and buckled her belt. She looked at the safety card, as she always did. She watched the cabin fill with the small details that meant people had brought pieces of their lives with them: a child's drawing, a book's bent corner, a well-worn headset. The captain peeked through the curtain for a moment, placed a small note on the galley counter for the crew, and stepped back. Aisha checked the tablet, touched the screen twice, and nodded to herself. Then came a moment that mattered. A family with 3 seats together was missing one seat nearby. The parent asked if there might be a switch. Aisha pulled up the seat map on her tablet. The seat they hoped for was not blocked. It was open. No safety hold. No crew jump seat. She used the new script exactly as it was written, and in her own warm voice. "Your seat is yours," she said to the guest in the nearby row. "If you are open to an option, here is why we are asking and what we can offer. This family would love to sit together. We can move you to a similar seat 1 row forward and bring you a small thank you credit for being kind. You are free to stay right here." The guest smiled, looked at the family, and said, "I'm happy to move." Aisha thanked them, tapped courtesy hold on the tablet, and logged the reason code in 2 seconds. A small, human choice had been honored. The family relaxed. The guest felt appreciated. The moment stayed small. That was the victory. Amara watched without drawing attention. She felt the design working through real hands and real words. It was not magic. It was discipline. It was the careful respect built into a script, and a label that told the truth, and a tool that made the right action the easy action. The door closed on time. The safety video played. The plane rose into a bright morning sky. Service began with steady, quiet steps. Amara had tea with lemon and wrote only one line in her folder: "Script lived well, respect first, clear choice, quick log." Mid-flight, a small test of the new language appeared. A guest asked Aisha if seat 1A was for crew or important people. Aisha smiled. "Seat 1A is a customer seat," she said. "If we ever have a safety hold or a crew jump seat, the tablet tells us, and we explain it clearly. Today, it's just a normal seat." The guest nodded and returned to a crossword puzzle. The answer had been simple and exact, with no hint of status talk. That little sentence did more than manage a question. It grew trust. When they landed, the captain stood at the door and thanked passengers. Aisha worked beside him, her calm energy steady to the end. Amara thanked them both and stepped into the jet bridge. Outside, the day had opened into a clear, bright blue. She walked toward the small meeting room that overlooked the ramp, the same room from the original debrief. Lydia waited there with Noor and Priya, their faces bright with the kind of tired that comes from good work. Noor projected a short chart. 4 weeks of data, she said, smiling. Front cabin seat change complaints down 38%. Door close delays related to unclear requests down 80%. Reason code completeness at 96% and climbing. Courtesy hold is rare but clean. Safety and crew appear only when needed. Priya added, and training completion is at 99%. We're keeping the module short, real, and available offline for teams on the go. Lydia shared 2 guest notes. One said, I like seeing the app message explain a safety hold in plain words. It made me feel included and safe. Another said, the attendant started with your seat is yours. That line changed everything for me. I felt respected even before I answered. These comments were not long. They did not sound like ads. They sounded like people who had been treated as people. Amaro listened with quiet joy. Thank you, she said. This is what we aimed for, better words, calmer moments, and dignity as a standard. She turned to Priya. Keep the tiny labs going. Invite new voices each week. Ask the simple question, what sentence would have helped you yesterday? Add the best ones. Priya nodded. We call those living lines, she said. Our script is a living document now. They spent 10 minutes on small improvements. Noor suggested a tiny red dot on the crew tablet if a reason code was missing before departure. Lynn would add it in the next patch. Priya proposed a one-line reminder in captain checklists, before asking for a seat change, check the device for safety or crew. Simple and helpful. Lydia asked for a printed mini card the size of a badge with the 3 labels and the first line of the script. Pocket words help under pressure, she said. Everyone agreed. That afternoon, the captain from the original flight recorded a brief reflection for the leadership library. He stood in a quiet break room with a coffee cup and said, a month ago, I used a word that was too big and unclear. Today, my tablet helps me use exact words. I make better calls faster because the labels are honest. Thank you to everyone who built that clarity. He did not speak as a hero. He spoke as a teammate. It was stronger that way. Sophia, now a mentor in the tiny labs, shared a story on the internal forum. She wrote, yesterday, a guest asked if they had to move. I used the line, your seat is yours, and I watched their shoulders relax. They wanted to help, and I got to say thank you in a real way. The moment took 30 seconds. The feeling lasted the whole flight. Dozens of small thumbs up appeared beneath the post, the quiet signal of a team that understands the value of one good sentence. Amara wrote a letter to the whole company. She kept it short and warm, clarity is not just good service. Clarity is care. When safety needs a seat, we say so plainly. When we ask for courtesy, we invite and we thank. Our words carry our values. Thank you for carrying them well. The letter also included one simple story from a flight where a safety hold was used correctly. The app displayed the message, the crew used the clear script, and passengers accepted it with calm trust. It was a perfect example of how honesty creates ease. Weeks later, Amara took another quiet trip. This time, she sat in 3A. The captain made a friendly welcome. A child asked, do clouds feel soft, and a parent said, they look soft, but they are just tiny drops of water. A bag found a safe space 2 rows back. A guest asked if the arrival gate would be near baggage claim, and the crew promised an update at a specific time. These were little things, but together they made a flight feel like care. Midway through the flight, a small message appeared in the app for everyone to see. For safety reasons, the front row is on safety hold today. That was new. It wasn't urgent. It wasn't loud. It was information. It eased questions before they formed. A guest looked at the message, nodded, and went back to a book. The system worked in the background, while people enjoyed their day. Amara finished her tea and pulled out her folder one last time on that journey. She wrote a final line: "We did not chase noise. We fixed the track." Then she closed the folder with a peaceful hand. The plane began its descent through soft light. The wing traced a long, smooth arc. Aisha on this flight too moved calmly through the cabin, checking belts and smiles. The captain offered weather and time with a steady voice. After landing, as people stood and the aisle filled with the gentle shuffle of steps, a woman from row 2 looked at Aisha and said, "Thank you for making everything clear today." Aisha smiled. "Thank you for flying with us," she replied. The sentence floated above the seats for a second, light and sincere, then disappeared into the soft sound of travel continuing. At the door, Amara thanked the crew again. She did not say who she was. She did not need to. The work had already spoken in the way the crew moved, in the way the app informed, and in the way passengers felt seen. She stepped into the jet bridge and felt the day's air on her face, cool, simple, steady. Outside, the airport carried on, a baggage cart hummed, a ground crew member lifted a hand to guide, a family laughed at something only they understood. The world did not know that a quiet change had made their trip a little kinder. That was fine. True improvements often live in the background. They show up as less confusion, more calm, and a feeling that respect is not an extra, it is the standard. Amara walked toward the exit with an easy step. She had no speech to give and no spotlight to stand under. She had a team doing careful work and a system that now used clean words. She thought of the sentence that had become a small anthem on the training wall and in crew break rooms: "Respect is not a courtesy. It is a standard." She smiled, because she could feel that standard alive in every small moment she had just seen. She reached the glass doors, let the sunlight touch her face, and felt deeply grateful for something both ordinary and rare, a journey where everyone, crew and customers, moved together with clarity, kindness, and quiet confidence. And in that simple feeling, the story found its true ending, not with noise, but with calm, and with a promise kept.